Animal communication skeptics. We've all met them, and sometimes we are them. Skepticism is defined as an attitude of doubt about whether something is real or not. And it's prevalent in this field, but where does it come from? Well, one of the sources is that skeptics say that you can't prove that animal communication is real. And to them, I say, au contraire, mon frère. In this video, I'm going to share 10 different ways that you can validate the information that you get during an animal communication session. And these will counter any doubt or skepticism that you run across, either in yourself or someone else. Without this understanding, you're going to be stuck spinning your wheels, feeling powerless, not feeling confident for sure, just always doubting and not feeling stable. But once you understand that there is proof, there's tangible proof, and you can get proof that this is real, it's going to really help you become more confident. It's going to help you feel comfortable talking to other people about animal communication, and it's going to help you keep going. So if you are doubting animal communication, even if it's just kind of below the surface, you're not going to be committed. You're not going to be, going great guns, raring to go. You're going to kind of be stop or start with your own animal communication. So I hope that this helps you feel more comfortable, more confident, and have a greater understanding of animal communication, how it works, and that it's real. So I'm Dr. Cara Gubbins, professional animal communicator and founder of the Animal Communicator Academy. My mission is to help all animal lovers become confident animal communicators so they can help their pets, so they can become a professional animal communicator if that's their dream, or so they can add animal communication to their current profession. My vision is that we will eventually, soon, someday, have animal communicators in every home, every veterinarian's office, every animal rescue and shelter. And if you support this mission and this vision, then please like this video, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell so that we can reach even more animal lovers and animal communicators. So let's dive into this, because I think that this is a really juicy topic and I'm really excited to share it with you. A little background, I was recently invited to participate in the first international conference or symposium on animal communication research. And as part of that participation, I was one of the co-leaders for a breakout session called the Skeptics Corner. And in preparation for that session, I got together with one of the other co-leaders, my fellow animal communicator and veterinarian, Barbara Shore, and we compiled a list of ways to prove that animal communication is real, because we thought if you have evidence that it's real, then there shouldn't be any skepticism, right? That should counter that. And so we had, I think, 7 different ways to prove it. And then we went into the breakout session. I thought of one more. So now we're up to 8. And then 2 of the participants added 2 more ways. So now we've got 10 ways to prove that animal communication is real, or to validate that information. So let's dive right in with the first way. And the first way that you can prove that animal communication is real is with a change in behavior in the animal. So they act one way before the session and they act a different way after the session. And this happens a lot. Sometimes it can be subtle, sometimes it can be dramatic. One of the very best examples of this is a video that went viral a few years ago featuring animal communicator Anna Brettenbach, and she talked to, I think it's a Black Panther who was at a rescue center named Diablo, who was aggressive and violent and unhappy. And in the course of their conversation, he's told Anna that he wanted to be named Spirit, and that reflected more of who he was and who he wanted to be in the world. And so Anna relayed this to the caretakers there. They changed the name, and there was a night and day, 180-degree change in this animal's behavior. So Spirit was now acting completely differently because of that conversation. So that's one way. And, just by the way, if you've seen that video, just write spirit in the comments. I'd love to see how many people have seen that video. So that's one way. Let's talk about number two. The second way is if there is a change in the person's behavior after the session, because that's going to indicate that they got some information that's really relevant to them. They understand the situation and the animal in a different way, and they're going to change their behavior in response to that conversation. So this happens a lot with my clients when I do an animal communication session. So often during a session, I'll relay a message from an animal and the person will cry. There will be a release. There'll be a change in their attitude and their behavior towards their animal based on what that animal said to them. Let me give you a really specific example. One of my clients who I've been working with probably for my whole business, so over a decade, she's got dogs and cats and like all kinds of animals, but her cat Newman was an indoor cat who got out and got lost and was missing for a month. And so I was working with her during this time and communicating to Newman and my client Tracy about how to get back together. And Newman made it very clear that he was not coming home unless he could have more time outside. And this was really hard for Tracy because we have a lot of wild animals, coyotes and mountain lions and, all kinds of animals that might eat him. And she did not want that. And she adjusted. She really recognized that this was important to Newman to have that outside time. And she changed her behavior because of that conversation. And so, of course, Newman did too. He came home. They've been together now. I think it's been 3 or 4 years since this happened. And they have a whole different relationship now because it's based on mutual understanding and respect and recognizing the dangers and accepting those dangers and limitations out in the world. So number two is a change in the behavior of the person after the animal communication session. Number three kind of follows along those lines, and that is a change in the relationship between the person and the animal. So what we see here is oftentimes people come to animal communicators because there's a problem, they're upset, they're tense, there's like conflict, there's just tension in the animal and the person. And when we have an animal communication session, what I notice is the animal relaxes when they feel heard, the person relaxes when they get that message, and the relationship changes, it deepens, it connects, the issues get resolved. So whatever was going on between them before the session now is not there anymore after the session. So the relationship completely changes. And a really cool example of this is one of my animal communication students currently had an issue with her dog peeing inside of the house, and he would do it in all these different places. And she was super frustrated, and it was really hard, and she just didn't know what to do. And so what she ended up doing was doing a little work on herself around her upset around the situation, which I teach in my classes. But I said, ask him why he does it. This is where animal communication is brilliant. We can ask a question. Why are you doing this? And the dog said he was setting the boundaries for the house because she wasn't setting boundaries. So he felt like he had to do it. And it made total sense to her. This was kind of a personal issue she'd been working on. And she realized that energetically it was affecting her dog as well as her. So she reassured the dog, I'm in charge, I'll set better boundaries, I'll maintain them. You do not have to be responsible for this. You don't have to do this anymore. And now they have a whole different relationship because this dog was just reflecting back to her what she needed to take care of in herself, what was coming up to be healed. And she got to see how she wanted their relationship to be. And now they're in a partnership with much better communication and connection and understanding. So the relationship between the person and the animal changed. Okay, number 4 is evidence from the animal. So oftentimes we'll get a message from an animal that just doesn't really make that much sense. And so if we can get evidence that explains that message from the animal, then we know that that message was accurate. And quick story on this one. So I was visiting my friend Adele, and her horse has been going through a lot of changes, having to move between barns or stables or wherever horses live. And so we were talking to her horse Teja about all of those changes and what would help her feel more comfortable and how we could support her. And out of the blue, and she said it more than once, so I know that it was real, she said, "I'm really proud of my hooves." And I said, "That's all I'm getting. Does that mean anything to you?" And Adele was like, "I don't know what that means. I don't know why she would say that." Well, we went out to visit her the next day, and it had been raining and it was muddy. And so Adele brought all of these tools to clean Teja's hooves. And we got to Teja, and her hooves were totally clean. They were pristine. They did not need to be cleaned. They were not muddy. Now we knew why she was proud of her hooves, because this is something that Adele and Teja go through a lot, and she was really proud that she had kept them clean. So we had evidence from the animal about what that message meant. And notice the lag time. It was like 24 hours between when we got the message to when we understood what it was, because we had the evidence of her clean hooves that showed us the reason why she was proud of them. So that was number 4. Okay, number 5, we're halfway, you guys, hang in there. So number 5 is a confirmation from a second source. So the information that you get from an animal is confirmed from a totally separate source who also got the same information from that animal. So as an example, my friend Claire is a veterinary acupuncturist, and every time she went to work on this one horse, she always walked away getting the feeling that the horse wanted a goat as a friend. And she was like, "I don't know why I keep getting this feeling, but I really do. I don't know what to make of it." Well, finally, she said something to that horse's person, who said, "Oh my gosh, every time the farrier comes, he says the same thing." So this horse was communicating to everybody out there, like, "I want to play with a goat. I want a friend. I need a goat for a friend." And they were getting this message that made no sense to them, but that was very clear. So 2 sources for the same information, totally separate. Nobody was trying to get the confirmation. It just happened. I'm really wondering, has this ever happened to you? Have you gotten information and somebody else got the same information from an animal? If so, write the number 2 in the comments. I know we're on point number 5, but write the number 2, and then I'll know that you got 2 sources of information. Okay, number 6 is confirmation from medical testing. So an animal may give you a message about something that's wrong with them that is not visible on the outside, that it can only be confirmed with a test, and you can get that test and have that information confirmed. For example, I had a cat with a behavioral issue. That's why the people came to me, was because she was yowling when she was locked in the bedroom. And I always go through and make sure, even with a behavioral issue, that there may, I check and see if there's a physical issue. And lo and behold, there was a bladder issue. And so I told my clients to go get a test from a veterinarian, and here's what to look for. And the veterinarian would not have done that test given there was no other indication, but did that test because of our animal communication session and confirmed that there was a bladder issue that could be taken care of and resolved. So that was confirmation from a medical test. One of the symposium participants who contributed to this was the one that she contributed, said that she either, I think it was her dog or somebody else's dog, said that they had cancer in the shoulder, and there was no external indication. There was nothing wrong, no mobility issues, no movement issues, but the vets were able to confirm that that dog did have cancer in the place where it said it did. So again, confirmation from medical testing is the sixth way that we can confirm that animal communication is real. All right, number 7, I'm moving through these pretty quickly, but hopefully you're thinking of examples from your own experience as we go along. This is confirmation from a person. So sometimes as an animal communicator, I get information from an animal that doesn't really make sense, or that I don't know if it's accurate or not, but the person, the client, can confirm that. And here's kind of a goofy example. When I was just starting out and I was still practicing, I talked to my friend Angela's dog, and her dog's name is Maddie. And Maddie, I asked, did you have a message for anybody? And she said, tell Pop Pop he's the light of my life. And at the time I was like, oh my gosh, if I say this to Angela, she's going to think that I think that animals talk baby talk, which I don't. But I know that in order to be a clear channel for animal communication, I just have to go with what comes, and I can't second guess it, right? So I said, okay, here's what I got. And she said, oh yeah, that's what all the grandkids call my dad. Everybody calls him Pop Pop. So it was a very specific phrase, and it was completely accurate. But I didn't know that until my friend Angela confirmed that for me. So sometimes you can get confirmation from a person who knows the animal better or knows the situation better or something like that. So that's number 7. Let's do number 8. So number 8 is confirmation from science. You did not expect this one, did you? Confirmation from science, scientific proof about that confirms the information that you got during animal communication. And here's the example. So about 25 years ago, Barbara was communicating with an elephant who told her that she was able to send and receive messages through her feet. And Barbara thought, that is pretty crazy. I don't know how that would possibly work. Well, we now know that animals can communicate infrasonically at very, very low frequencies through the ground, that those low frequency sounds are received in the pads of their feet. And even more recently, there's been a discovery of the exact, I guess they would be organs or structures inside the feet that actually receive the sounds and potentially even send the sounds through the feet into the earth. So this message, this information that Barbara got from an elephant years and years ago that could not at the time be verified scientifically, has since then been shown to be completely true and accurate. So confirmation from science. I love it when animal communication and science come together. So good. All right, so I got to count my fingers. Number 9 is confirmation from an independent animal communicator. And again, I'm going to share a story from Barbara. So she said that she was talking to some whales about 25 years ago, and she got a message from the whales. And recently, Ann Gordon, who's another animal communicator, more of an animal wisdom messenger, got almost the exact same message from whales 25 years later. And so that's just an example. It can happen in any number of ways. It doesn't have to be 25 years apart, but here's 2 independent animal communicators talking to the same species of animal and getting the same information, the same messages. We can do that in practice groups today too, right? Like with animals that we practice with and get the same information. And that's often very reassuring and confirming. But this is, totally separate. They did not share their messages beforehand or anything like that. It's just because Barbara happened to read Ann's blog that she saw that message and she's like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what they said to me 25 years ago. So confirmation from an independent, separate animal communicator. All right. And finally, number 10, here we are. We're finally at the last one. It feels like I've been talking for a long time. I hope it doesn't feel that way to you. But kind of like, wow, this is a long list. This one I left to the end because it's perhaps a little challenging and kind of hard to explain, but it is your inner felt experience. So what I mean by that is, when I'm in an animal communication session, I get a specific feeling inside of me that only happens when I'm doing animal communication. I don't even know the words to describe it. It's like a click or things lining up, or I don't know, like if you had a door close. It's something that just kind of goes boing, and now we're lined up, and there's like this feeling of a click inside of me. That's my inner experience, and that's kind of my confirmation of, okay, now I'm connected in. Oftentimes, pretty much every time that I do an animal communication session for a client, when I connect with the animal, I describe it as like a meeting of our souls. I'll get this sense of the soul personality of that animal, and I'll feel it in my body. And I'll describe it to my client, and they'll be like, oh yeah, that's exactly, my horse, my dog, my cat, my snake, whoever it is. So this is not anything that is outside, but I want to bring it up because I think it's a perfectly valid confirmation, especially as we're learning how this all works, how we work, right? If you're learning animal communication, if you have that inner experience that only happens at this time when things are lined up, that's going to also help you get confirmation that you're set up right, you're connected, you're ready to do this thing, right? So any kind of inner experience, I've described mine, but it could be other experiences too. But I really want to validate that your inner experience it can also be confirmation that this is real. It doesn't have to be confirmed outside of you, but if you have that inner awareness, that self-awareness, that you can recognize an inner signal that this is happening, that your body's shifting into intuitive mode or receiving mode, or however you like to think about it, that is validating as well. Okay, so that was 10 ways to prove that animal communication is real. And I think that this is super important because as we're learning, we're always looking for confirmation. My students are always looking for confirmation. They want to get things right. They want to know that it's real. And oftentimes we look to somebody else to prove that it's real, to prove that we're on the right track, to prove that we got the correct information, and therefore that animal communication is real. But there are also ways to prove or confirm animal communication that don't involve somebody else who knows more than you do. I mean, one of them does, but there's 9 other ways to really validate your experience and the information that you get. And I want you to have that so that you have options. Not every option is available with every session, but sometimes, 1 or 2 or 3 of them are. So start looking for ways that show you that you're being successful. And remember, if you're doubting yourself or feeling skeptical about animal communication in general, you gotta remember, skepticism is an attitude, and a skeptic attitude can be really limiting, but proof dissolves the skepticism and the doubt. And proof is available from a lot of sources, both internal and external. So it's super important to be, not just acting on faith, not just assuming, but to really think for yourself and really evaluate things. But skepticism just blocks you off from what is a very real phenomenon. So I'm going to invite you to change your skepticism to discernment, and see if maybe that little shift helps, that it's not really skeptic, it's just, discerning. You want to have confirmation, right? And not that it has to be proven, but it's nice when it is proven. So those are my 10 things. That's my advice for today. Was this helpful? If it was, please like, subscribe, share, and hit the bell to be notified when I make new videos. And if there's an animal communication topic you'd like me to address, just leave a note in the comments below, and I would be happy to make a video about that topic. And of course, if you are an aspiring animal communicator, come on over and join me in the Animal Communicator Academy. Registration opens in fall of 2022. And I want to support you to become the confident animal communicator that you came here to be. Get more info at caragubbins.com. Have a great day. Bye.